I understand that Topeka has been inundated with lobbyists for the liquor industry, and they're all excited about the possibility of more places to sell liquor. We're going to talk about increasing it from what to what? I think 2,500 new places.
Well, from 761, which it is now, up to 2,500, and then that will probably
Liquor's available at 761 places now in Kansas.
Yeah.
We're going to increase it to 2,500.
Between 2,500 and 3,000 plus.
And is the only reason given for that being a good thing is just making it more convenient for people?
Yes, plus free enterprise. That's the big thing. They wanna cry free enterprise. Kansas Chamber has endorsed it. Kansas Chamber has endorsed this bill.
So they think it's going to be good for our state.
Yeah, the Wichita Chamber has not. It's remained neutral. But the Kansas Chamber has endorsed it, and I think it's just a shame. You know, you think we're going to have more DUIs?
Well, okay. After 9 years of college, the best 9 hours I ever took were substance abuse counseling. So I did that in undergraduate. I use that every day in my practice of criminal law. It's about 85–90% of the cases I worked on. It's still about 85 or 90% of the cases. And one of the things, when someone's struggling with a substance abuse issue, they have what are called triggers in their life, the death of their mother. Or, sometimes it's just the opportunity to consume. One of the most difficult addictions to deal with is a huffer, someone that sniffs toilet or paint thinner or things like that to get high, because it's everywhere.
Right.
Antifreeze, gasoline antifreeze, that kind of stuff. And so if you increase the availability of it, if you put it everywhere, if you put it in every grocery store, every convenience store, then that availability will actually enable people to break their restraint against drinking, because they're going, okay, what the heck, and they'll grab that bottle on the way out of the store. Where if they have to go to a dedicated facility, that's all they get, then they can drive by and go, I don't need to go there today.
Right.
But when they're waiting at the checkout line and it's right there, what can you do?
Yeah.
So.
And the study that I saw was that 37.4% is how much the consumption will increase.
I wouldn't doubt that. With that added availability, the consumption will occur and increase, and that means that people that have problems will also increase their consumption too, because it'll be available. And
that also means we are going to have more DUIs. We're going to have more people on the highways behind the wheel.
Oh, absolutely.
Who are intoxicated.
Sure, because they're not going to wait to get home to open it up.
Exactly. And is going to lead to, we could talk about all of the ramifications of that, as far as abuse in the home and divorce and all kinds of problems. We know what alcohol brings. I grew up in an alcoholic's home, so I know what alcohol does.
Yeah.
There isn't any doubt in my mind. Now I'm in family law for a year. I'm doing my penance for being a judge. and there is no doubt about it in my mind that when people, I suppose all things are good with moderation, but when they abuse alcohol to the extent that it affects their work, then that affects their income, that affects their family. When they drink because of issues trying to quiet something in their mind, some pain, trying to cover up some pain, all they really ever do is put a little plaster over the crack, but the crack is still there.
Sure. Yeah.
So, they have to deal with the issues in their lives, and that's one of the most difficult things, because many times the alcohol, the drugs, are really a symptom of the real problem.
Right.
And so you can't solve their drinking or their illegal substance addiction issue until you help them solve that real problem that's the catalyst for the choices that they're making. Whether it's that they were abused, or they feel bad about something they've done, or they just don't feel good about themselves, or whatever. Many times they don't have the skill set to maintain a good job, or even know how to interview for a good job, or how to balance a checkbook, or all these life skills that you and I take for granted because we've been doing them since we were adults. And so many times there are more fundamental things that have to occur in their lives to help them get on track. The same thing's true for people in prison. You have to have pre-release programs for prisoners so that they know how to act once they're released.
Right.
How they know how to balance a checkbook. They know how to read a lease. They know how to buy a car. They know how to get all these things done that we all do every day because they haven't done them for years. And if they can't get them done, if they can't figure it out, they go back to what they know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What they're good at.
Yeah. I just
Well, they're not very good at it because they got caught. But, you know, what they know. They go back to what they know.
Right.
Crime, violence, addiction.
we're talking about family destruction again, you know, and we don't need it in Kansas. Everybody said, you know, well, Kansas needs to be up to date. You know, Carrie Nation would be proud of Kansas. They tried to make fun of it. But this is the situation. Why can't Kansas be a beacon? Why can't we be a state that doesn't have state-owned casinos? Why can't we be a state that doesn't sell alcohol in convenience stores and grocery stores? Maybe that would make families want to come and move to Kansas
Maybe.
if they saw that we're going to say no to this.
Be a better place to raise children.
I think so. I really do.
Well, Donna, what can people do? Tell them again.
Well, if you go to my website, cultureshield.com, go to Facebook. On that website, you'll see a place where you can click and you'll get all the names of all the people on the committee and their phone numbers. I called every person on there. I did it in 15 minutes.
Okay.
Most people say, oh, I don't want to make all these phone calls. Well, you know just as well as I do, you know, that when you get an email as a legislator, what does it mean? You have a hard time opening it, don't you?
You know, even in Topeka, they don't have time.
No, they don't.
The staff will make a tally.
Right.
The staff will, they'll say, look, we're
yeah.
getting a whole bunch of emails on this issue.
Yeah.
What really makes effective communication for a legislator is first to contact your personal legislator.
Yes.
That's the
right.
most important one because he knows you're a voter in their district.
That's right.
If a legislator gets contact from someone from out of state or from outside their district, you know,
They couldn't care less.
Well, they do care, but not to the same degree.
Right.
Because they're not going to get anything for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, and they feel they've got to represent their district. So I think the first thing to do is to make sure that the people that you suggest contact, they check and see who their committee members are, and if they're if they're a constituent of that
That's right.
legislator, absolutely. You
So
need
it
to
could be
contact
that people only need to make one call
It
if they
could
would
be.
just go to the trouble to
That would
find
be the
out
most
who is
effective
their
one.
representative and then call them and say, I live in your district and
Right.
here's how I feel about this.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
it's important to tell them where you live and that you are a part of their district.
That's right.
Now,
That's right.
if you do burn up the funds, I mean, if you really can't generate a lot of calls, and when someone contacts a legislator, they should always do it respectfully.
That's right.
I mean, even if you know the legislator doesn't agree with the way you feel,
Right.
you know, that office deserves respect. And there may be something later that you can influence, that if you alienate them
Right.
by saying, I think you're a communist or something, you know, you're going to lose them in the future.
That's right.
And I really had that happen. You know,
Oh.
when I had lobbyists and I had groups, and
Mhm.
before I went to the Senate, you know, I had one of my helpers call a committee chair, call him a communist, and, you know, we didn't get a hearing.
Right. Yeah. Well, in the email, what I just tell people is put the subject line, vote no on House Bill 2206. That way they don't even have to open the email.
They don't have to read the
They
whole
can just
thing.
count it. Just count it.
And, you know, when they're on the floor of the legislature or they're in committee, a lot of times they all have laptops. They're all hooked up to the Wi-Fi in the building. And they'll be listening with one ear and scanning their email with another. And if it's in that subject line,
Right.